Joined now by Tyler Smith from the Hoosier.com, Indiana Rivals, and Indiana fresh off of another beatdown at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall, a 15-point loss to the Nebraska Cornhuskers in a game that Nebraska pretty much put away in the first half before Indiana kind of made a charge. But wow, Tyler, Nebraska just gets off to this blazing start. Kisai Tominaga was 3 of 4. He hit his first 3 out of his first 4 3-point attempts. They had 2 different guys hit 4 or more. With he would go 4 of 9. Jacques Lawrence 5 of 5 behind the arc. 2 other players that hit 2 3-pointers each. Indiana had only 2 players hit a 3-pointer. One of those, Mackenzie Abako, just 2 of 8. CJ Gunn goes 2 of 7. Indiana overall 4 of 21 for a blistering 19% from the field, as Nebraska goes 42%. Here's a stat for you. Nebraska hit as many 3-point shots as Indiana hit free throws, as the Hoosiers go 14 of 24 at the stripe for a cool, crisp 58%.
More of the same, man.
You're not going to beat teams. Well, yes, but yet why? But we don't get any answers as to why. That's the other than, I mean, I know why there's no answers as to why, because I don't think they have the answers. But that's the scary part. That's the part that should bother IU fans the most. Is I don't know that they have a grasp on where their team is, where it's going, how to make work what you have. Mm-hmm. I don't. It's like they continue to try to put square pegs into round holes.
Yeah, all we get is you got to make shots and nothing else. And, Nebraska had 6 threes in the first 7 minutes, which is more than IU averages for a game. They average 5 for the whole season per game. And, I covered the All-Star game on Sunday, and I thought it was just another All-Star at the beginning with the lack of defense. I mean, Nebraska's just getting anywhere they want to go. Running some modern offense, running a lot of off-ball stuff, getting wide open looks, or making things happen even when they don't have wide open looks. They have playmakers to make things happen, and yeah, it was just a barrage of threes. The 51 points in the first half with 9 threes. Indiana goes on this blistering 25-8 run to cut it to 3, but ran out of gas, and that was all she wrote. And now we got the 102nd ranked KenPom team in the nation.
There you go. Outside of the top 100 now, Indiana is just slinking here at the end of the season, and without question, they'll be playing on the first day of the tournament in the Big Ten tournament. I know that there are still 5 games remaining for Indiana, but I picked them to go 2-5 at best with 7 games left, and I don't know that. I'm wondering where might their next win come from. Of course, that's just as good a guess, I guess, as anything, but there's no wins on there for Indiana.
Yeah, this was supposed to be kind of the lighter portion of the schedule, but 3 straight home losses to the powerhouses of Penn State, Northwestern, and Nebraska. So now you look and, going to Penn State will not be easy. They just knocked off Illinois and obviously won at Assembly Hall. You get Wisconsin, who's been struggling, but it's going to be desperate for a win. And then at Maryland, and then at the barn in Minnesota, and then senior day at home against Michigan State. So, it's one of those things. I'd be surprised if they had such little pride that they completely lose out, but there's not going to be, multiple wins or some kind of win streak here at the end. And, they're more than likely going to go pretty quietly here. And as you said, I look at that schedule and I'm like, I wouldn't put them as favorites in any of those 5 games. So I could see them getting a win, maybe 2, but like you said, I don't know where it's coming from.
The Indiana travels to Penn State next, a team that I thought that they had just lost yesterday at home to Illinois, had turned the game off finally because the IU game was about to start. And just a little later, I happened to see that they won that game. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. How could they possibly have won that game? They were down by like 9 with a minute to go or something crazy.
Yeah. I started looking at my computer and then was watching, tip off at the IU game. And then I look up at the monitor. I'm sitting next to Zach and we're seeing Penn State celebrating. We're like, what in the world just happened? I completely quit watching it as well. So pretty wild game. And, good for them to get that big win off a ranked opponent and celebrate. That's what it's all about. A lot of cool games here recently that will get fans ready for March. Not so much Indiana fans ready for March, but the excitement of the game, at least.
For Penn State, that shows a team that has grit, gut, and determination. That I'm still shocked that they came back and won that game.
Yeah,
that game was over. And when I happened to see that score, I did a double take. I'm like, wait, what? And I turned to the guy. I said, they came back and won that game? And yeah, that's not giving up. And that's the team that Indiana has to face next. They came in to Bloomington and did that to Indiana here. So there's just so many things that are missing from this team. And it's not just talent. It's mental, but by mental, I mean confidence. And that starts at the top. Teams are reflections of their coaches. And I just don't see this team having confidence, having leadership. There's nothing positive. I don't know what there is for me to say that's positive about Indiana's basketball program right now. And I don't want to. It's not what I'd like to be delivering to people, but what should I say?
Yeah, you gotta continue to be honest when talking about and covering the team, and it's been rough. One thing that's kind of concerning to me as well is the feeling going into this next game when Penn State came on your floor and smacked you in the mouth. You would think that a team from Indiana University would be ready to go to Happy Valley and be ready to seek some revenge and atone for that loss. But there's not much confidence that fans would have that this team has that like competitive fire in them, whether they were on a losing streak right now or not. But to go and say, like, I don't know, there's something missing with the fight. And yeah, they've fought back in a few games to still lose, so there's a little bit of fight there. But I mean, it just in terms of like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get this win on the road. Like, they got us, we're gonna smack them back. Like, I just don't see that. So maybe they'll prove me wrong on Saturday, but it's just there's not a lot of confidence there.
Well, yeah, you would have thought that for a Penn State or a Nebraska team coming into Bloomington, a game that it's not that Indiana needed to win for anything specific postseason wise, other than pride of not just getting, for lack of a better word, bitch slapped by an average program, a program that has sought some success and has found a modicum of that this season. But, we're not talking about a top 25 team here. And to thoroughly give Indiana the beatdown that they did, that's 3 straight losses for Indiana. And they are predicted to win the next 5 games by Ken Pom. which not surprised, but who would expect them to go to Penn State and win? Most teams would expect a good shot against Wisconsin at home because Wisconsin has fallen off the face of the planet in their play, but it's Indiana. So Assembly Hall is no longer what it was. Maryland, you're going to go there. I don't know if this team can manage a fight on the road, but it can't do that at home. Minnesota, I would be hard-pressed to imagine Indiana winning at the barn. And then, of course, Michigan State. These teams need these wins. Michigan State needs that win. Nebraska needed that win. Penn State needs this win. Wisconsin needs this win. Maryland, they all need to win. They all want to win.
Yep.
And you're seeing that will from these teams. One team that you're not seeing that from, unfortunately, is Indiana. And I just wonder what goes through the minds of Scott Dolson when last night you look up 3 minutes before the tip and the balcony is empty, which that's the first sign, but that's not the first game that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
And there were people that came into the balcony right at tip, but it was still for the most part empty. Booing. I've never seen Indiana booed at home at halftime ever that I can recall. And they were booed twice. Big part of that was, as Dan Dockage said, was predominantly a bunch of East Coast and out of state students, which I don't know that you can disagree with that because Indiana is made up of more out of state students than in-state students. It's not a school about basketball anymore, which some people would say, well, that's a good thing. Well, it's not about being good or bad. It's about being committed and keeping up with your tradition, a tradition that was hard fought and hard earned by a program over decade after decade. And to see that just being trampled on, I get how the older fan base is upset and the younger fan base, because I'm going to tell you, I keep saying this, there's no program, no college basketball program that was better set up to revive itself than Indiana once the NCAA made NIL and the transfer portal a reality. Because Indiana had fought itself of doing this and doing this. Well, now, okay, you can go out and do this and you can go out and do this. And yet they still cannot do that. And they can't get out of their own way.
Yeah, something's just clearly missing. It's hard to, fully pinpoint everything that's been going on. I get the, really like apathy is setting in the fan base. I feel like if they were winning and they were successful, it would maintain its, basketball school type stuff, and hopefully they can get back to that. But just what you said is also still right there and available for these next couple months when they really have an unbelievably important couple months of portaling and recruiting. Even if they finish terribly this year, they still have the resources that are available to get some things done. And if they can't for a second straight year, then that's obviously very concerning. This has been a struggle for a long time. They got a couple good seasons here sprinkled in the last, couple decades, but no consistency. And it's just, they've just failed in many ways to get back to that consistent program that is a winner. Doesn't even have to be top 5 every year, but just a consistent winner that is going to play hard and, have their fans not sweat if they're good enough to make a field of 68 at Indiana University. Is just crazy that it's going to be 7 out of 9 years that they're not going to be making it.